Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is our dope episode for the week. We usually do it on Wednesdays, but I was doing a reading of Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I think that's the full title. So it's not available yesterday. So we're doing it today. And to join me, I have a wonderful panel of people. We're talking all about Doctor Who, our favorite doctors. We have our bracket going on right now through the rest of the week of best doctor. So we're pitting doctors against each other. They're going head to head, and you can vote on our page for your favorite doctor. We're going to talk today about our favorite doctors. We'll look at the bracket a little bit, but mostly this will be a conversation just about like Doctor Who, the fandom, what we love about it, who our favorite doctors are, things like that. And to join me, my constant co-host, my companion, Stephanie. Stephanie, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good. I'm excited. I love Doctor Who.
This is like your number one fandom, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you
For 10 years now, so that's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up from the UK, I have my good new friend. We met through Zooming the Movies. Kevin Pollock's Zooming the Movies. Join the Facebook group if you would like to act or watch some wonderful reenactments of your favorite films. Crystal Hollis. Crystal, how you doing?
I'm all right. It's late, but I'm good.
Yeah, what time is it there?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's 1:30, but I love Doctor Who a lot, so I'm willing to. I cannot wait to have this conversation.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Next up, I have a old friend of mine. I haven't seen him in a long time, and I was like on a whim today. I was just like, I wonder if he's available because he loves Doctor Who. Specifically, I remember talking with him a lot about classic Who. He has a really great knowledge of classic Who stuff, and we met through karaoke. And so I have to bring him on because he's just a fantastic gentleman, and he has a fro that is unparalleled right now. David, what up, my brother?
Hi, how's it going?
Nah, it's going good. It's going good. I love the glasses. I love the glasses.
I have to take them off because I can't see.
So, all right. So we're going to dig into it today. We're going to talk some Doctor Who. So we have a bracket going on right now that I am digging. The first 4 matches have gone up. I'm pulling it up now so I can take a look at it and we can talk about it a bit. It is somewhere here. There you have lots of brackets. Okay, so today the brackets that went up, the matches that went up are the 4th Doctor versus Peter Cushing, the 7th Doctor versus the 8th Doctor, 13th Doctor versus the 1st Doctor, and the War Doctor versus the 3rd Doctor. So that's exciting to me. The other side of the bracket will go up tomorrow. That'll be 11 versus 6, 2 versus 5, 12 versus 9, and Ruth versus 10. So that's I think those are some interesting matchups either. So first of all, what are some of those matchups that you think are very interesting in terms of like this Doctor versus this Doctor? Like I saw you posted today, Stephanie, 7 versus 8. You thought was like a really, really good one. I tend to agree with that. I was wondering what your reasoning on that was.
Well, my co-host Deacon is here to help lend his own comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's watching.
Wouldn't be a dope show without Deacon's.
Exactly. I thought 7 versus 8 was really interesting because those doctors kind of, at least for me, occupy a very similar spot in my brain. I'm not a huge Classic Who fan. I've made a point to I'd watch at least one episode from every Doctor. And usually at Chicago TARDIS, they'll show a classic Doctor. So I've watched a lot of them through that. Chicago TARDIS is a Chicago-based Doctor Who con that I go to every year. And I think those 2 doctors are like the same in my brain because Sylvester Mccoy and Paul McGann both come to Chicago TARDIS a lot. And I love their stage personalities. They're both so kind and so funny and have like such passion for the show. And to see that I feel like 2 of the doctors that kind of got the short end of the stick, with Sylvester being the one that was canceled at the end of the classic era and Paul McGann only getting the movie, but still having so much passion for the fan and the show, the fans in the show. Like, they'll hold a very special place in my heart, like both of them. So it's hard to decide between them.
For sure, for sure. David, what about you? What matchups do you find interesting?
I mean, Tom Baker's going to win, right?
That's a good question. Because I think classic Whovians would say that, and new Whovians would say 10. So I think it's Tennant versus Baker.
So I grew up watching Doctor Who on PBS with like my dad and my brother and stuff. Specifically, it was usually Tom Baker. Who it was all so bad and so good. Just the there's one episode where all it is inside of a lighthouse, and there's people stuck there, and it's one of my favorite Who moments. They see the evil balloon with lights on it outside, because that's the alien, and Tom Baker looks at everyone. He's like, "If we don't figure this out by morning, we're all gonna die." Everyone's like, "Oh," and he goes, "Wonderful, isn't it? Let's go!" And that's he does not care about any of them. He just wants to have fun in dangerous situations, and I love that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think, and I will say the way I set it up, they are on opposite sides of the bracket. So the most likely scenario, because I put them as the number 1, number 2 seed. I put 4 as the 1 seed, 10 as the 2 seed. So likely those two will meet in the finals.
Yeah.
I do think there are maybe some chances of upsets, more likely on the 10 side of things. I think like 11 you could see an upset with 11 because there are a lot of people that love 11. Crystal, what about you? What matchups do you find interesting?
Ooh, so I'm a little bit of a mixed bag. I grew up watching classic Who, not on PBS, but my parents had videotaped it. And so we had this massive cabinet that was just all classic Who. So I grew up watching Baker, Davison, the other Baker, and McCoy, and a little bit of Pertwee, and then obviously all of the new Who. But the mashups I found most interesting is it Pertwee and the War Doctor?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah,
That's
3 versus War.
interesting because I love them both. Like I love the panache and that swashbuckling kind of air that there is for Pertwee.
Mm-hmm.
But John Hurt's War Doctor is just such a he's a very gripping character, and he's one that really kind of grabs you emotionally, even though he only exists at least on screen for a very short time. There is a big finish.
He did one radio drama, right?
Yeah. I think it was. I want to say it was 3 episodes, but it was like a short series for John Hurt.
Yeah,
the War Doctor. So I think that's an interesting mashup because they're so different from each other, and they're really, really good and compelling, just for totally different reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at like each of their oeuvres, like, okay, 8 only did the movie, but 8 has like a huge radio drama collection that is beloved in the fandom. So, and I think that also with the 50th anniversary like mini-sodes they did, like I fucking love those.
It was awesome to see McGann come back. It was awesome.
So good in those. And like, even though I hate Moffat, like I grew to hate Moffat over the course of his run, I have to say it. I always have to say it. I know, Stephanie, that you roll your eyes at me, but I that's one of the things I'm most grateful for is him bringing 8 back to really show what he could do. So, so moving off of the bracket, what makes the Doctor like specialty? Like what are the qualities you look for in a Doctor? Crystal, let's start with you on that.
Ooh, it's a little bit difficult. I feel like for me anyway, what the Doctor should be is a little bit kind of alien and distant from kind of standard human sensibilities. And I think that certain actors nail that really, really well. And certain writers nail that really, really well. I think that there's a necessity for compassion. Clearly, that's a trend that shows up in most Doctors. But I think that the Doctor also needs to have this edge and dark side to kind of make their actions mean more and also make sense within different contexts. So they have to be like compassionate, but then there have to be these like dark, edgy moments. And they need to be again, kind of like alien and foreign, like Matt Smith when he's playing the doctor in that episode where he's living in the flat and he's just like getting into stuff. He's like, I don't know how to do this. Like, am I humaning right?
Yeah, he's like really bad at humaning,
Right.
but also really good at it at the same time.
Right. It's very charming, but I like that idea. And like when Capaldi's making comments to Clara about like, oh, you took your makeup off, and she clearly has not, because it's just not something that is normal to him, because he is in fact an alien. So I think that makes a stronger doctor than just someone who's running around being like super nice all the time and is always the kind of like compassionate person that we understand constantly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. David, what about you?
Oh, my answer.
Yeah, that was a really good answer.
Yeah,
This is a really good one.
I mean, the show, it should always be fun. It should always be a little bit scary sometimes. Like fun tinged with danger. And then the doctor, I always like my doctor to be a little bit alien in not just action, but their morality. So, the first doctor, Troughton, sorry. He was kind of mean to everyone, and but he also showed like a great love to them all. Sorry, that was Hartnell, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hartnell's first. Troughton is 2.
Troughton's the Venusian kung fu guy.
Yes.
Love that.
Hartnell's cranky grandpa, like literally.
Yeah.
I love his portrayal, by the way. Like I would like, and I love like when they got who's the dude who plays Filch in the Harry Potter movies, and like he plays the first Doctor. It's kind of fun to see his portrayal. It's nice to see like that version of the Doctor with a more modern storytelling sensibility. Because like I would love to see Hartnell now, and that's kind of the closest you'll get to that. And I love that cranky grandpa portrayal. The only other person I feel like I've seen kind of do that thing strangely is like Matt Smith. Like Matt Smith kind of does like the cranky old man thing a bit during his run.
Oh, come on, Capaldi.
Capaldi to me was more like Pertwee. Like I felt like he was pulling from him hardcore, especially with his costume.
Yeah, eventually he did. I mean, he was the rock and roll doctor somehow,
Which I was fine with personally.
Yeah. But he started off really grumpy with humans and just making fun of us a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Which I like.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would definitely say that you definitely see that element carry over from 11 to 12 and ramp up. He dials it up quite a bit, especially in his first season.
And that's something I like about several of the doctors, because is the first 4 doctors at least. Davison, as wonderful as he is so nice, like his doctor. But the others were kind of dicks. They were they always acted holier than thou, and I kind of liked that.
Yeah, and so you're a much more Catholic person than me. Like Davison is like my heart. Like I love Davison because he's such a sweet heart. Like I love it. Stephanie, what about you? What do you look for in a doctor?
I don't know, because like I haven't, obviously we probably all feel this way, but I haven't seen a doctor I don't like. Like they're the doctor, I love them, you know. But so for me, it really comes down to, I don't even know, because I could say the actors, but even all the actors, I love them all. They're all so passionate. They love the show. It's so hard. I guess to kind of answer the question, my favorite aspect of the Doctor is their playfulness. They're like kind of inner child, because what a unique part you get to play as an actor, and what a unique thing to see on the TV, like a grown-up getting to explore new worlds, a grown-up getting to discover new things and be so playful and childish and explorative. I love when the Doctor has a is like bouncing off the walls in excitement about things. Like that just brings me so much joy.
Yeah. For me, I think it's the loneliness of the Doctor, really I find interesting, and also the fact that without like a human anchor, like I almost feel like the show developed in such a way where the Doctor like needs that human companion to keep from becoming a vengeful god that just rules the universe with an iron fist. Humanity keeps him from like spinning, or keeps them from spinning off into that, right? And to be that old, to be that, to live that long with that much power and still kind of actively reject what we're used to in terms of people who wield power, I find very, very interesting. Like this, like I often cite the space whale episode, the Beast Below, second episode of 11's first season, and the comparison between him and the space whale and this ancient creature that is just kind and just wants to help humanity. I just that's probably what I would say is what I love about the Doctor. Yeah. Now, a Doctor's nothing without their companions. Who are your favorite companions? Let's start with David on this
one. Romana?
Ooh, excellent choice.
High five, David.
She's his equal in every way. She's his equal in every way. There's almost a sibling rivalry there. Like they needle each other, but lovingly so. She's funny. Like when she regenerated, which she had control over regeneration apparently, because she kept coming in and out of a room as different bodies until she got to keep the one of a princess they had met like the year before. But in it, she's just making fun of him while regenerating, and then finally comes out in Tom Baker's outfit, his later outfit that was all red and kind of boring. She comes out in that outfit, and he's like, "Wow, that's beautiful. Hey." It's such a nice moment. Like you can see them. There's none of that that happened in the new Who with so many of them. There's none of the overt admiration and all of that. It's they're friends.
Yeah. I think it's nice because it's not a human Time Lord relationship. It's like it's a Time Lord relationship. So like that, I think you can explore things in a different way when it's two peers. I personally hate when the human characters are portrayed as just as capable as the Doctor, because I just don't think that should be their function on the show. So yeah, I find that interesting. Yeah.
With that, I also liked how Romana was one more step removed from humanity. So that put the Doctor as her bridge to humanity, like a companion is normally his bridge to humanity. So throughout it, she'd be like, "Why are we doing this? We should just let this happen." And he's like, "No, we have to save these people." Like that was.
Mm-hmm. I felt like Moffat tried to recreate that dynamic with Missy.
Oh,
yeah.
What? She's a strong number 2.
One of the best things to come out of the Moffat era is Missy. Missy is freaking awesome. I love Missy so much.
Was that Moffat?
Hmm?
Was that Moffat or the guy after?
That was Moffat.
That was Moffat.
Yeah, Moffat was. Yeah, because Chibnall didn't take over until 13.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Steph, what about you?
My favorite companion is River Song.
Mm-hmm.
Could talk all day about why I love her so much.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll admit it, like I said, I haven't seen a ton of Classic Who, so it's hard for me to pick a companion from Classic Who, so I'm kind of focusing on just New Who. But I loved her dynamic with the Doctor. It's my friend Marissa. I love the relationship. I'm a huge Dr. River shipper. Okay, I'll admit it. I've written enough fan fiction. And while their storyline was super convoluted and didn't make a lot of sense sometimes and got confusing, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how they met and then how their timelines crossed and then got all confusing. I just love it. And I also love Alex Kingston, and I love the way she portrayed the character, and all the way up until the last episode with Capaldi. I just think their relationship is so special, especially since for a large portion of that, the Doctor didn't have any other Time Lords around, and besides like the Master, that was the whole thing. Well, River Song is technically a Time Lord, can be debated. I think they had something really special in that shared kind of species almost. And second, I think Bill, of course, because gay.
Bill is pretty fantastic. Yeah. So I love River. I feel like River would have like hit harder for me though had there not been like 8,000 other romances before that in the class in the new era. Like it would have felt so much more significant if like that was, but like we had Rose and then we had Martha. Then it just like, especially the Tennant era was like all about the romance. Had none of that existed, I felt like it would have slapped so much harder for me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
And I loved how like their love story is out of order. And so, but like one more element I would have loved, like, because we saw like her assured and confident in her love of him with him having no connection. And I felt like I didn't get enough of the opposite of that, where he's head over heels for her, but she has no attachment. Like I've never felt like I got like that inverse, so like I would have appreciated that as well. What does everyone else think on the topic of River?
He does come off as paternalistic towards her once he finds out who she is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like at first she knows everything and he's like, who's this one? But then he becomes it's that gets a little bit awkward, but I think if we didn't, I agree with you. Like in the original, in the old stuff, there wasn't any real romance for the Doctor, and so the Rose thing really hit hard at the end there because it did go. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
But then you had a happy ending kind of for the Doctor with Rose. You had the Doctor being absolutely horrible to Martha. Like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
God. And all of that. And then you get to River. And then after River, you have, you still have romancy things. Not with Whittaker thing, but like, she seems to have gone beyond that again and back to being like, amazing just Doctor in and of themselves without having to deal with the romance angle yet.
Mm-hmm.
But even after River, what I'm blanking on her name, and I loved the character.
Is it
Clara?
Clara?
I loved half of that character.
Yeah.
when it started off with Clara being in love with him, it was just, we've already done this. When it became Clara having her own life and that kind of thing, and their interactions more as friends, it was just, okay, this is wonderful. This is what I want to see.
Mhm.
Clara just exhausted me.
Yeah. Oh my
By
god.
the end of Clara, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so done with this.
Like,
Yeah.
River is definitely not one of my favorite companions, but she is one of my more favorite characters, if that makes any sense. Like, I have companions that I rate higher than River. But I think that River would have been a stronger story if they had almost just left it with those 2 Tennant episodes and then just let it alone, because part of what made River was the mystery. But God, Claire just exhausted me by the end, especially once Danny died. And then she's like, I'm as strong as the Doctor. I feel like I'm the Doctor. I'm gonna go do crazy things because I think I'm his equal. And it's like, could you not?
Right. And that was the most egregious of like making the human character the equal of the Doctor, or like more competent than the Doctor. Like Clara, like that's like the most like Moffat-y of the Moffat like era stuff that I just can't stand. You know,
Like they were showing her starting to go off the rails a little bit. I mean, the way she ended was bad. Basically becoming the Doctor. Not a fan of that. But I thought that it was doing a good job of her being like getting too caught up in it. And even the Doctor being like, oh no. Oh no.
and had she died,
Yeah.
in the episode where she dies, then I would love the Clara arc of someone who flew too close to the sun and it blew up in her face. But then the 2 episodes later, we see him break every rule that he's built for himself and moves heaven and earth to bring her back. She gets her own TARDIS. Like, she just basically becomes a Doctor. And then she gets another companion who is also just as capable as the Doctor. It's just like now the Doctor's not even a singular thing in the world. There's just a bunch of Doctor level people just running around.
I think part of my issue with the Clara arc is, as you said, if she had died and stayed dead, we would have been fine. But I'm also torn on it because Heaven Sent, which happens right after she dies, is arguably one of the strongest episodes of New Who, like out there. It is
the Capaldi tour de force.
Just masterfully monologuing for 45 minutes, and it's beautifully directed by Rachel Talalay, who should do way more episodes, in my opinion. And then it's followed up with Hellbent, which you look at the script and it's just like, so we had this amazing, beautiful, moving, compelling story because Claire died, and now like what is this mess of like, oh, now we're in the cloisters because that's a thing. Like what? And I think that like in order for Heaven Sent to have happened, that Clara arc of him going back to get her needed to occur, but it's just the way that they did Hellbent.
It's a good point.
It would. I think it would have been better if like he went back to get her and then failed. I think that would have been. That would have made me like the Clara arc more, because again, like part of what hits hard about Claire when you're watching it, and you don't know what happens, is that finality of like, oh my God, she got way too bold, and it cost her and it cost him as a result, and it makes that isolation arc later on make more sense.
Right. Yeah. We got some comments here in the chat I'm going to bring up. Virginia. Hi, Virginia. Said Missy is fantastic. It looks like, yeah, River. I think that was when we were talking about River. Do you remember what she says in the episode The Husbands of River's Song? What quote are you referring? Like, if you could put that in the chat, Darian, that would be cool, because I would love to know what quote you're speaking of there. And then Darian also said, don't like Clara. I agree with that. Clara was just always, I think, just a very strange character, and like Moffat loves to like weave into the mythos, right? So like he wove her into like every era of Doctor Who, right? Like that's another thing he kind of does that gets on my nerves. But yeah, she's an interesting character. But let's move off of her. I want to say for my like favorite companion, I'm throwing out Sarah Jane. I love Sarah Jane, and I love that Sarah Jane, classic Who companion for multiple classic Doctors. It started with 3 and then into 4. It was actually there for the regeneration to greet Thor into the world. So I love her. And then she comes back, and it was School Reunion, I believe was the episode, and doesn't miss a beat. Just is fantastic as ever. And then her show, the Sarah Jane Chronicles, is adorable. I love it, and just seeing like her long, like decades long relationship with the fandom, and I was like crushed when she passed. Just wanted to give her a huge shout out. But it was one of my favorites. But my all-time favorite, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately, it's probably Donna Noble. I love Donna Noble so much. I love her relationship with the Doctor because it stands out as like the non-romantic relationship, especially in the new era. Whereas I felt like every other person had some sort of weird relationship. Even Amy was trying to bang Eleven at first. There's a lot of weirdness in romancy, and some even cringy stuff in the new era with that stuff. But like Donna and Ten's relationship is so pure, and also shows like exactly why a human should not wield the power that the Doctor has. I love that arc so much.
Her finale.
I also think she's the most tragic of the companions. Because, and I've had people argue this, and they're like, "Oh, well, she just goes back to her life and doesn't remember anything." I was like, "Yeah, but she hated her life, and the tragic thing is she got to go and do all these things and become this amazing person and have all these experiences and grow just incredibly, to lose it all without having any recollection of it." And I just felt that was such a tragic arc for her story. But I love their reunion episode with the adipose when they're across looking.
The whole sequence is amazing.
Great.
Oh, when her granddad talks to the Doctor and is like, "Can you put her back?" Like I was just like, "Oh no, I'm crying. I don't want to cry."
Yeah, her grandfather is maybe the only person like I would rank above Donna, but I don't, just because he's only a companion for like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have like the longevity I look for. But he's perfect. He's like Iroh in Avatar perfect. Like, oh god, he's so good. And like the whole sequence where he's like, "Oh, it's okay. Just let me die. It's all right. I'm sorry." And then he's just like, "No, it's my honor." Like, and like, but first, like the Doctor has to rant about how like important he is to the universe. Like, I gotta die because of this fool. Like, are you serious? And versus like, "Yeah, it's okay. You can let me die." And he's like, No. I'm sorry. I'm being a bitch. Of course, I'm gonna save you. It's so good. Oh man, we got a bunch of questions here, comments and questions in the chat. Mike asked you, Crystal, does it feel different being a Who fan now living in the UK?
No, mostly because it sounds weird. I've lived in the UK multiple times. I've kind of gone back and forth, so it's just kind of natural. And I've found, especially because of just how prevalent New Who is, it's very easy to find fellow Whovians on either side of the pond, no matter where I am, to either get together or chat or do things with. So it doesn't feel very different, except when I go to Cardiff and it's just like, "Oh, that's where that was filmed. That's where that was filmed. That's where that was filmed. That's where that was filmed," and it's just like all of Cardiff. So no, like it has a little more fun times, but only with regards to like going to where they film stuff. It's the only part that feels different.
That would make me happy. That's how I kind of feel about like the Dark Knight series, at least the first 2, because like you just walk around Chicago like, "Oh, that's where Batman punched some fool in the face."
Also, Adventures in Babysitting.
Yes, Adventures in Babysitting.
I forgot about
that. Becky said Martha is so underrated. She's like in my top 5 companions. I love her. I'm all and like I hate the way the Doctor treats her, but I love that she chooses to go because you don't get a lot of that in New Who, where the companion's like, you know what? I think I've had enough. Like, yeah, it's cool, but like also like there's more to life than this. Like, I love when the companion comes to that realization. What's the kid's name in 13's era, part of the fam, the grandson. I can't think of his name. I can think of Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched the last season. But I love that he's just like, you know what? There's stuff going on at home. There are people that need me, here. I found that very powerful, especially with him being a young Black man, saying like, no, like I'm needed at home. We're fixing the universe, but there's stuff in my backyard that I need to tend to. I love when that happens, and that doesn't happen nearly enough in this era of Doctor Who, right? It's like, no, I want to travel with you forever. I want to be like you, and it, often ends in tragedy, like Rose, like Amy and Rory, River, like over and over and over again. It's these like tragic, like super over the top endings. It's okay to have a quiet ending sometime. What else we got here? What is about what it is like to love the Doctor?
That was the quote. She says, "Loving the Doctor is like loving the stars. You don't expect the sunset to admire you back." River says.
That's a beautiful line. And I'll say that for Moffat, like as much as I have issues with like some of his choices, that man can turn a phrase for sure. Someone mentioned Torchwood. Okay. Let's talk. What are our thoughts on Torchwood?
I'm not a fan of Torchwood. I'm just going to throw that out there, and I apologize to anybody who is. Like, I think it's got some good episodes. I think it was very ambitious. It was cast really well, but there's just maybe it's because when I was watching Torchwood, I was doing a big rewatch of the X-Files, and I was like, oh, I feel like I'm watching the X-Files in Doctor Who land. And I go to Doctor Who land for different things. I go to X-Files land for. That's my take.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Well, what about the other two? What do y'all think?
That last season of it, when it got super serious and depressing, I loved it. The first several seasons of it, I was just like, yeah, this is meh. I don't hate it. But then that last season happened, and I'm just like, wow, this is a good, interesting. Oh my god!
Was it Miracle Day?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What about the miniseries, Children of Earth? Because I thought that was peak Torchwood for me.
Wait, which one was the one where it's the
Miracle Day is when no one could die?
Yes.
And then Children of Earth, that was with the 456, I think is what that species was called, and they were taking the children or something like that. Like, I can't remember it too well because it's been a while since I watched it, but like I remember that one being gripping. It was like
remember it.
Who's in that? That's amazing. Was that Capaldi in that? Who's the government agent? Who's the actor that played him? Was it?
I don't remember that episode.
I can't remember, but like that was an amazing miniseries. But like, like you though, like that first season, I thought was like, eh. And then that I loved, but then Miracle Day I thought was just like all over the place. That's when they had that weird partnership with Stars, and Mekhi Phifer was there for some reason, and I was just like, what's happening? What is this? This is weird. Okay, so we talked about our favorite doctors, favorite companions. All right, let's get to least favorite doctor. Do we have one? If not, that's fine. But I'm wondering. Crystal, you go first. It looks like you have something that you're about to drop a hot take all over my face.
I am, and I know people are gonna come at me for this. But Hartnell's actually my least favorite doctor. And while like the character, and I like that gruffness to him, and I like the adventures they go on, and I appreciate that he was the first person in this role starting a massive series, and I really, really I love Hartnell, like, don't get me wrong. But I think he's my least favorite Doctor, mostly because of the writing. And I know that I'm viewing something from the past with a modern lens, and that can be problematic. But when you watch, like, I rewatched the first 3 episodes, and like I started taking notes on stuff that was like, ooh, things that are not okay to say in modern person times. that was like 4 pages. And I was like, the series has certainly grown from there, but it's not a Doctor that I enjoy watching anymore, because some of the things that are said about, different people just don't feel very, it didn't age well, and it doesn't sit well with me anymore. That's a hot take, but that's
fair. That's fair. I will toss Colin Baker on the coals. I'm not a big fan of Colin Baker. I thought that I love Colin Baker, like the actor. I love his relationship with the world, but his era I thought was just like too cheesy for me. Like, I just couldn't handle him as the Doctor. I couldn't take him seriously. He didn't have the gravitas I look for in the Doctor. Just not for me.
I mean, they literally gave him a clown coat.
What about you, David?
I mean, Colin Baker's definitely in my bottom 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even counting Peter Cushing. He was in a movie. and he's amazing. Peter, like, he can do no wrong.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say,
the Paul Rubens like death from Buffy the Vampire Slayer you just did?
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Also, just to establish, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, is leagues better than the TV show. Anyhow,
I love that movie. I will agree with you on that.
Sylvester McCoy. He was my least favorite. Like, I didn't hate him, but I didn't engage with him.
Mm-hmm. I think that's totally fair. Though I will say I love his scene in the 8th Doctor movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I love the scene in that. Steph, I know you love all your Doctors, but is there a least loved of the bunch?
Well, as the resident New Who person, it's hard because I love all the New Who Doctors, but if I had to put one at the bottom, and I'm sorry, I feel bad about it.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Is it 9?
Yeah. He didn't have enough time to shine. He, like I said, the childishness in the Doctor, like, is one of my favorite aspects. The way that it covers how like deeply traumatized they are underneath, I guess. We don't get to see a whole lot of childish. My favorite episode with 9 is the Doctor dances, and you get to see him like act silly and have fun in that episode for once. And yeah, and since the fandom and the actors is such a big part of my Doctor Who experience, it sucks because obviously Christopher Eccleston has had to distance himself from the fandom and from his time as the Doctor, and that's perfectly understandable. But
probably the least engaged actor to ever play the Doctor.
Yeah, unfortunately. So,
like, pretty like by a large margin too, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Though is he doing a radio drama?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah. He's coming back for a radio.
Back finally to do something else in the within the canon. I think that's pretty cool.
From what I understand, a lot of the distancing was based on contracts that he had at the time, not necessarily because he was like, "Screw the franchise, I don't want to be a part of it."
Right.
No.
But he also had a thankless job, I think, like to like reestablish like Who, and then like just doing a one and done. You never really get to see like what he is actually going to be like in the role, because a lot of it is kind of like reestablishing all of the norms. And I have to do some exposition to explain what the Daleks are. I have to do exposition to explain this and that, and all the various things. I'm reintroducing everyone to the world. So in a similar way to Hartnell. Hartnell's time is like setting a lot of these things up, a lot of the rules and the structures. It's not quite finished yet. And I think it's the same thing with that reboot. So I think likely a lot of people would have those two doctors toward the bottom in their respective eras. So
yeah, and he's also said that was also like the time he spent filming that was a rough time for him personally. So I mean.
Yeah, Darian asked, why did he have to distance himself?
I forget why. There was a long article. What I will do is I will find it and then I will send it to Maui. He can post it.
Eric said to you, David, had the opposite reaction. Liked Torchwood at first, but started disliking it when it got super serious and depressing.
I'm just a goth at heart.
I think I kind of am too. Like I like it to be happy and stuff, but like also I want you to rip my heart out. Like give me some happy and some silliness at first, but then like please like make me cry like a baby by the end. Like that's like I look for that. Like get depressing, make me sad, like build up the doctor to have a family around him, and then take it all away from him and make him just standing there quietly sad at the end. That's why I love like when like all the children of time are together and he's looking around, he's so happy. He's like, I got my whole family here. He's so happy. And they're all like, okay, bye. And he's like, oh, like, love that.
Emotional masochism.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like, also that's why like usually my favorite scenes are like when a doctor is about to regenerate, especially with like new era Who, because it's like a big deal when they like are going and they all get a soliloquy. So you get to hear them like monologue or say something poignant. So like 11's like it's like breath on a pane of glass. It's just like chef's kiss, like rip my heart out. And here's the thing. So all of that what I just said about me, I'm watching that. I've been waiting all day, have it on the DVR, ready to watch it. DVR recorded weird. It cuts off right when he's starting that scene. And like the tears are all welled up, they're ready to come out. I'm just emotionally primed, and then it just stops. And then I try and torrent it then instead, and it's not up yet, and I have to wait like 4 hours to finish watching it by the time I'm able to get it, because like everybody is getting it once it comes up, and I had to wait like 4 hours to finish it. And then it was like a ruined orgasm. It was like I can't cry. Like I'm done. This sucks. And so I had to like wait a week and then revisit it and like get myself in that mode again so that I could just like weep. Yes, David.
I was just gonna make fun of you pair orgasms and weeping a lot.
Yeah, it's called a tearjerker.
Oh. my favorite like kind of heartbreaking moments, but not in the same way, with New Who is whenever it gets pointed out how horrible he is, usually by villains, where it's just where Davros looks at him and he's just like, oh, you're the doctor. You will never use a gun. You don't like to be violent. Except look at what you've done to everyone. You turned them into your army. Or then Danny Pink being like, look at what you've done here. You're the same as the generals, sending people off to war because you don't have to deal with it. Like whenever he gets cut down like that, I'm just like, oh, he has so much fun and he's so wonderful and manic. And I love manic things because I'm manic. And then it's just, and then he gets called out on his problematic behavior that he doesn't even recognize.
See, I think that's why I like Missy so much, because she's like a mirror in a way. She's like, she's just that tiny step he has to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are no consequences. Like for her, yeah, there's consequences to her actions, but not that she gives a shit about. And he's on that precipice. And so I think that there's a lot of subtle like heartbreak moments whenever he's engaging with Missy, particularly when you have the episodes where Danny dies, and then you have the next two where they go and deal with Davros again, where you get these moments where he's just like seeing himself in her and just very uncomfortable with that, because she throws it in his face all the time, like literally all the time. And the way that she taunts Clara when she's bringing up things from his past, where she's like, don't you know all the horrible things that he's done? Because I do. I was there. And I love those moments because she unapologetically just like calls him out and is like, look, you can have as much fun. You could still have all your funsies and not give a shit. It'll be great.
Yeah. Who said, like, oh, you say you don't use weapons, but look, Doctor, like, they're your weapons. Like, they're your guns. Like, these people are your weapons of destruction.
She did, didn't she? She
No,
said
that was to Tennant.
Yeah.
That was to Tennant. It was Davros, because they had brought back Martha and Rose from the other universe. And why was that not Tennant's end? They brought everyone back.
Mm-hmm. It really would have been a fitting.
Yeah. And everyone was there. And he actually does start to regenerate there. But he has all of the companions that he's had so far, and they're all fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. But I will say, I'm happy that wasn't the end, because otherwise we would have never gotten the Waters of Mars, which is brilliant. Darian, Always Be Kind is probably the best monologue in all of Doctor Who. I will say that right now. Fight me.
Would this count as a monologue? I mean, it's short, but it's Paul McGann freaking out about not knowing who he is, and then standing up in white robes, putting his arms out like this and going, time is important. I am a Time Lord. In all of the series.
David just made an argument there, Maui. Sorry.
That was yes. Okay, I will downgrade mine to second best. If the Doctor did not have friends and companions, he would be Missy. I definitely think that that would be the case. I love that season for the relationship between the two of them, and like Missy being his companion. Like I said, it definitely has shades of Ramona for sure. But yeah, that's just wonderful. The Pandorca was both the most dangerous creature in the universe. Yeah. I just love the whole mythology of Who. I think that's it. No, you know what? I mean, I feel like we already talked about least favorite companion, but I don't know if we ever actually officially said that she was the least favorite. Is Clara everyone's least favorite? She's probably my least favorite companion.
No.
Oh.
Who's your least favorite?
David, are you with me on Team Turlo and Adric?
You'd be recruiting.
Poor Adric.
Just recruiting. Like, the vigilante.
Right.
Turlo, though.
Oh.
God, it's hard to pick the worst one.
I mean, it's pretty bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Turlo was awful. Like, he was designed to be awful, but he was like awfully awful. Couldn't stand Turlo. I thought it was annoying.
They were not good.
Mel was not good. Mel was also not good. I love Bonnie Langford, but not as Mel.
What about you, Stephanie? Do you have a least favorite?
It's the worst, because when I was in high school watching Doctor Who, when I was at peak Doctor Who, I was so excited for Clara to come, mostly because there was finally a companion I could cosplay with broad hair. But I was just really excited for a new companion after Amy and Roy for so long. I loved her for when I was 17. But now as an adult, going back and watching her, I'm like, oh my God, she's so annoying, and everything she does is annoying, and she's always trying to be annoying. I just can't stand her now. I'm like, that's a shame, because I read back my Facebook memories, and I'm like, Claire's my favorite companion, and I'm like, no, she ain't.
If it makes you feel any better, Stephanie, I used to love Adric as a kid, and I actually named my guinea pig Adric because I the day after watching the episode where he dies. If it makes you feel any better.
It's like a kid that grew up on the prequel trilogy and then like watched it as an adult and realized Jar Jar was trash.
I was an adult when that came out. We all knew he was trash.
Yes. I was. Yeah, unfortunately, I was a full-grown adult. I just had to deal with it unfiltered.
Yeah, was I an adult?
Yeah. I think that is our episode. That was a really fun conversation. Thank you all so much for being on and talking some Who with me. David, you have a podcast coming up that you're guesting on. You want to plug it?
Yeah. Give me a minute because I am blanking on everything.
I'll come back to you.
Yes.
So next week, we are going to be doing our next bracket, which is going to be Disney animated films. One half of the bracket will be the princess bracket side, as we need with all the Disney princesses will be represented. Those are kind of like the crown jewels of the animated Disney oeuvre. The other side will be like the non-princess film. So we'll get the non-princess winner, and then the princess winner will go head-to-head in the finals. I'm very excited for that. I'm still trying to figure out the non-princess side of the bracket. It's pretty easy on that side because it's just, I'll have we're doing a 32 round bracket too, by the way. So there'll be a 16 princess movies, which I think will just fit. And then on the other side, figuring that out, I will say that no matter what, the Goofy movie will be represented because that is my jam. Just saying. The music slaps. It holds up to this day. It is friggin' hilarious. Can't wait to do it. So there you go. That's going to be our next bracket. So the next week, our conversation will be about animated Disney films, our favorite, our least favorite. We'll talk about the Renaissance. We'll talk about the Bluth era. I'm really excited to get into that because I'm a big Disney fan. So, all right, David.
Cruella de Vil is like in the movie 101, like cartoon. She's the best Disney princess. I know she's not a princess. She's still the best.
I'm weirdly excited for the live action Cruella, and I was like just like ranting about how like I'm so over these live action adaptation things, but like punk rock like Cruella in like 70s London like just sounds super badass.
So the podcast, it's called Uncanny Cinema. I wanted to pull up the description. Basically, it's a focus on films off the beaten path. So oddities, obscurities, that kind of thing, overlooked, underappreciated. We did the I've guessed it a couple of times for the Fantastic Four movie.
Roger Corman?
Yes, the Roger
Corman.
And for Species, they recently did Sean Connery's last movie, which was an animated abomination. It was real bad. I wasn't on that one. And this one coming up, it's not airing tomorrow. It's we're taping it tomorrow. It's going to be on Nightbreed.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with Nightbreed. I'll have to check that out.
Oh, it's Clive Barker, and there's about 5 different cuts to it. We're going to talk about the director's cut, but I was extra and watched the theatrical cut. So I'm going to walk in there being like, well, actually, so in the original cut, they did this. And then in the director's cut, they did this because that's who I am.
I love it. You haven't changed, and I love it. I was like, it was good to nerd with you. We haven't nerded in a very long time. It was nice to have you on.
We'll have to reconnect in person once once our pandemic year is over.
Absolutely. Crystal, Stephanie, y'all got anything you'd like to plug? I know. I'll plug for you. So Crystal and I are working on adapting Thor Ragnarok for Zooming the movie. So that's going to be exciting. I think we're doing that next month. Right? I think we have a spot in May. So once we get close to the date, I'll make sure to let y'all know when we're doing that. But I will be reprising my role as Banner/Hulk. So I'm very excited about that. I've done it. I've done the Hulk for the Avengers, Endgame, and Infinity War. So excited to play that role again on there. And seriously, everyone, check out Zooming the Movies. It's a really fun group. We just did Rogue One last night. So if you want to see me doing my best Saw Gerrera, lies, deceptions, all that.
It's good.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. And Stephanie, you are working on a play that's coming out virtually soon. Why don't you plug that?
Yeah, I am. I've only had like one rehearsal so far, but yeah, that's at the end of May. We're doing The Living, which is a show about the plague.
Yes. Yeah, it's very fun. It's a feel-good hit of the summer. We'll be airing. We'll have 3 performances. That's happening through Echo Theater Collective and the Reverb Ensemble from May 21st, 22nd, and 23rd.
Sounds great.
Ticket sales should be starting in the next week or so, and I'll be posting the full cast announcements soon as everybody gets me their headshots. I already have yours, Stephanie, so you're fine because I already had yours.
I was like, shit.
Get the rest of your cast members to send their headshots in so I can finish building that. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Keep it dope. We will see you next week. Peace.
Bye.